Here's how you can add ivy into any scene and turn any scene like this into this. Alright, so we got a part of our scene that I made before. Remember, this is a part of a upcoming project which you should stay tuned to watch. So the goal for today is to be able to add ivy onto this object. And the thing is, you don't need to do much work for it. All you need is a single node tree, which I will link in the description below. Make sure to download that, and then you import it into here. So how do you do it? Well, when you download by clicking on the link, what you'll get is a .blend file. Once you've gotten that, you're going to want to click File, Append, and locate the .blend file. Once you've located the Ivy Generator Blender file, you're going to want to double click into it. And now this is important. Go into the folder named Node Tree. Over here, you'll find two node trees. One called the Baga Leaf and the other called Ivy Generator. In this case, we need the Ivy Generator one. Once you click that, as you can see, there's a bunch of goofy looking meshes that get imported into our scene. Now don't click out, but instead move this out of your frame. Remember, this is important as these objects are kind of like the preview for the ivy generation. Now to actually add the ivy to this object, we need to first move this into its own collection. Remember, the objects that you want the ivy generator to be in, you need to make that its own collection, because the ivy generator will, depending on the collection, move itself and stretch to the objects. So I'm just going to name this house. Once we've done that, we can import in any mesh. In this case, I'm going to import in a plane. Right now, what we're going to do, this is how to actually transform this object into a ivy generator, is by going into the modifier properties and adding a geometry nodes modifier. You'll find that in the generator column. Once you've added that, you can click on the drop down menu and search for ivy gen. Once you've gotten that, as you can see, the plane disappears, and that's because it's transformed into ivy and has teleported into these objects, the preview objects. So how do you actually get that to go onto this house? Well, it's actually pretty easy. You see the target over here? You're gonna want to X out on that and select the one that you want to actually apply it to. As you can see straight out of the bat, the ivy instantly latches on and wraps around your target object. So here are the few settings that you need to know to get the best out of this node setup. Well, first of all, the resolution, you can think of it as the quality. The higher you go, the better it looks. Remember, a key tip is the bigger the scene is, keep your resolution as low as possible. But then that is subjective, because sometimes how close your camera is to the leaves actually matters as well, because the closer it is, the more quality you want. Now for the radius, the way this works is it kind of like wraps around your object. So the radius and the loops are very important to check the amount of ivy there actually is. So the more you increase it, the more it actually wraps around the object. Then for the height, remember the height and the radius, they're subjective to the actual dimensions of your target object. So this height is basically saying how much height wise of the object you want to cover using the ivy gen. As you can see, the higher you increase it, the more it goes higher in this object over here. Now for the emission area, it's similar to ivy density, but the difference is the emission area kind of adds new instances to newer areas, while ivy density are kind of like parent and children objects. And then there are obviously other settings which aren't as important, but they might be depending on your scene. And well, that was it for today's tutorial. It's a simple add-on that you can use to make your renders a lot better. And that was it for today's tutorial. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and that notification button so you don't miss out on other awesome tutorials just like this.